welcome back to Rootvolutionary. Today, we're delving into a powerful and controversial first-hand narrative from the past. An eyewitness report from Rain in the Face uncovers unsettling new information regarding the final moments of Custer's command. A Hunkpapa Lakota Sioux leader and fighter, Rain in the Face was instrumental in the 1876 Battle of Little Bighorn, which resulted in the overthrow of Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer and his 7th Cavalry. He was recognized for his courage and physical power in combat. Additionally, it was believed he held a deep personal grudge against Custer, whom he accused of slaying his brother and sister during an earlier encounter. Some narratives suggest Rain in the Face was part of the group that assaulted Custer's contingent and could have landed the fatal strike that ended Custer. Historians, however, debate this assertion, and the precise details of Custer's demise are still shrouded in mystery. Rain in the Face eventually turned himself in to American troops and served a prison sentence. Following his incarceration, he emerged as a proponent for the rights of Native Americans and a well-known performer in Wild West exhibitions, sharing tales from his wartime experiences. But before we start, please show your support for our community by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Should you wish to listen to a tale, I will share a genuine account from my own life. I was a dangerous individual before I needed to walk with supports. My spirit is kinder now, but it was fierce when I was a warrior and a hunter. The women admired me, but the men were intimidated by my presence. I preferred combat to nourishment. The military men feared me, and the eagles and crows would inspect their hair each dawn to confirm it remained attached while I was near. I was an undeniable power, and my name was spoken with trepidation. Harry, understanding that indigenous men often spoke proudly of their exploits, interjected. "We acknowledge you were formidable, Rain," Harry stated, "but we wish to learn about when Tom Custer defeated you. If you were so courageous, how did a man of Tom Custer's smaller stature overcome you?" This question unsettled Rain, and he scowled. He was a large man, standing 5 feet 9 inches and weighing 195 pounds, whereas Captain Tom Custer was more slightly built. After deep reflection, Rain shared his perspective, and unexpectedly he continued to relate his account of the Custer massacre. He spoke with vigorous expression and deep feeling, remembering the events of that decisive day. For many years, military officers and federal representatives attempted to get Rain to discuss the battle, but he refused to speak. They employed every tactic, from kindness and pledges to intimidation, but nothing was effective. Rain is renowned for being the killer of Custer, a fact even the poet Longfellow commemorated. Consequently, it was a significant surprise when Rain at last decided to tell his story. "I am recording it exactly as McLaughlin interpreted it." Rain stated that 2 years prior to the major battle, Gall and Sitting Bull had established their camp at Standing Rock. Every indigenous person there opposed the government. They were Hunkpapa Sioux, and they feared nothing. The Yanktonais were indigenous people friendly to the agency, lingering there to obtain food and provisions. We enjoyed ourselves immensely in the hostile camp, with dancing, racing, shooting, and playing games. We had an abundance of buffalo and deer to consume, and numerous ponies. I was well liked by the women who would provoke me to anger. When I became angry, I desired to fight. One evening, a young woman dared me to travel to Fort Lincoln and kill a white man. I informed her it was excessively dangerous, with soldiers constantly on watch and re-scouts in the vicinity. But she declared, "A courageous man does not feel fear. If you are a coward, do not go. I will ask another who is unafraid, someone who has danced in the Sundance." This was a challenge I could not disregard. The other young women laughed, but the young men did not. They were afraid of me, and I would have slain them for their laughter. I went to my lodge, applied black paint to my face, and collected my gun, bow, and pony. I left the camp secretly under darkness and traveled to Fort Lincoln, 45 miles to the north. I waited for 2 days, seeking an opportunity to shoot a soldier. I had opportunities to kill a Ree woman or a woodcutter, but I wished to bring back a soldier's brass buttons for the young woman who had mocked me. I succeeded, and she sewed them onto her shawl. One morning I observed the storekeeper and a veterinarian going to a spring. Long yellow hair and his men were riding back, approximately 100 yards distant. I rushed forward, shot the storekeeper, and struck the veterinarian with my war club. Then I shot them with arrows and removed some buttons. Long Yellow Hair heard the shot and charged back. I lacked the time to scalp the men I had killed. I leaped onto my pony and shouted at them to catch me. They pursued me to the Cannonball River. The following winter, I visited the agency store at Standing Rock. I received no rations because I had not signed the peace treaty. The storekeeper, One Arm, was present. I was not afraid of him or the 30 soldiers with the little-haired commander. He approached me from behind, and they all piled on top of me. They threw me into a wagon and restrained me until they reached the guardroom at Lincoln. I was treated not as a chief, but with disrespect. They confined me in a room, placed me in chains, and provided only a single blanket. Snow entered through the cracks and blew onto me throughout the winter. It was intensely cold. On one occasion, the little-haired commander released me, and the soldiers instructed me to run. I knew they intended to shoot me in the back. I told the little-haired commander that I would escape, cut out his heart, and consume it. I was chained to a white man, and one night we escaped. They fired at us, but we fled and hid on the bank of the Heart River. The white man severed the chains with a knife, but they captured him the following day. I got away, but I knew they would pursue me. I rejoined Sitting Bull and Gall, but they were apprehensive about retrieving me. I sent the little-haired commander a picture of a bloody heart on buffalo skin, so he understood I had not forgotten my oath. The next time I saw him, I took his heart. That is all I will say on that matter. We knew most of this was accurate, aligning with the government's record of the sutler and surgeon Hansinger's death. But we wanted to hear about Tom Custer's heart. McFadden showed Rain a drawing of Custer's final charge and asked if it resembled the battle. Rain examined it and then laughed loudly. No, this image is false. The soldiers did not fight us using swords, but with guns and pistols. They fought on foot, with every fourth soldier holding the horses. We secured ourselves to our ponies and fought in a circular formation. We removed our clothes and painted ourselves and our ponies. This image shows us with bows and arrows, but we possessed superior weaponry. Their guns could only fire once, and the cartridges became jammed inside. I know this because I observed dozens of guns on the battlefield with spent cartridges still lodged in them. The soldiers' firearms malfunctioned. When we realized their guns were failing, we used our war clubs to strike them down. It was simple, like slaughtering sheep. Some pleaded for mercy, but we offered none. This image is a falsehood, like all the white man's depictions of indigenous people. Allow me to demonstrate how it truly appeared. Rain flipped the paper over and sketched a large sideways S shape with a pencil. This represents the Little Bighorn River. Our lodges were positioned along the banks in the form of a curved bow. "How many lodges did you have?" Harry inquired. "A great many, multiplied by 10. We were as numerous as grass blades. There were approximately 4,000 to 6,000 indigenous people, meaning at least 1,000 lodges." Sitting Bull performed a powerful ritual on a hill. He brought it back in a bag on a stick and delivered a significant speech. He said the Great Spirit had informed him the soldiers were approaching, but we would vanquish them. His words filled us with joy. The next day, our scouts reported the soldiers were coming. Sitting Bull instructed the women to erect empty lodges to deceive the Ree scouts. The brush and a curve in the river hid our actual lodges. Then Sitting Bull departed to perform more rituals and did not come back until the fighting concluded. He was a great leader, but he did not participate in the battle that day. Gall was the commanding chief. Crazy Horse led the Cheyennes. Goose led the Bannocks. I was not a head chief, but I commanded a group of fierce hunk papa. We knew the soldiers' horses were exhausted, and they were tricked by the empty lodges. They believed we were only a small party. We were prepared for them, and we battled courageously. We knew they erred when they divided their forces. Gall took the majority of our fighters up the river to intercept them. When we saw the Scouts remain behind with long yellow hair, we were pleased. We allowed them to come over the bluffs, and some of our young men isolated them from behind. Then we revealed our line, and the soldiers charged. They retreated under our fire, and our young men behind them began shooting. We observed some officers conversing and gesturing, but they all appeared similar. I did not see long yellow hair at that time or later. We heard the Scouts singing their death song. They knew we had surrounded them. They dismounted, with every fourth soldier holding the other's horses. We closed in on them, advancing like an ocean wave upon the shore. We shot the horse holders and caused the horses to stampede by waving our blankets. Our women captured them as they were weary. I had sung the war song, inhaled the smoke of the guns. My heart was filled with fury. I was as one who had lost his reason. I rushed in, seized their flag, and my pony was killed beneath me. I cut the strap, stood up, and struck the flag-bearer with my war club. I ran back to our lines with the flag. I felt great pride. I had performed a courageous act. Our warriors shouted in approval, and we continued fighting. The soldiers' blood and brains splattered on my face, feeling hot and tasting bitter. I was enraged, so I acquired a new pony and charged back in, shooting, cutting, and slashing. This pony was also shot, so I obtained another. It was then that I saw Little Hare, and I recalled my vow. I was in a frenzy, fearing nothing, confident my white weasel-tail charm would shield me. I do not know how many I killed attempting to reach him. He recognized me, and I laughed and yelled at him. I saw his lips move, but the noise was too overwhelming to hear his words. He was terrified. When I was near enough, I shot him with my revolver, in my own fury, I know not where. I dismounted from my pony, cut out his heart, bit a piece from it, and spat it into his face. Then I rode away, shaking it. I was content and weary of fighting, so I did not scalp him. I had fulfilled my promise, and that was sufficient. I did not go back to the battlefield after that. The women came later and finished off the wounded, taking their possessions and cutting off their boots for the leather. They even severed fingers to remove rings more quickly. They searched for Long Yellow Hare's scalp, but could not identify him, as he wore no uniform and had cut his hair short. That night, we celebrated with a feast and a scalp dance. Sitting Bull spoke, stating, "I told you my medicine would prove effective. It granted you bravery." He claimed credit for the victory, but Gall contested this, saying, "We did the fighting. You only performed rituals." This created strife between them. We could have defeated the remaining soldiers on the hill, but the dispute between Gall and Sitting Bull prevented us. Each desired to be the sole leader, and some of our people supported one or the other. I did not concern myself with this. I led my own band and obeyed neither. I was tired of fighting and wished to dance. We learned more soldiers were approaching with large artillery, so we moved north. They followed us until we crossed the border. I remained there until Sitting Bull returned, and I came back with him. I was happy to be home. That is my account. I have never shared it with white men before. I am glad I told you. When Rain concluded his story, I asked him, "If you did not kill Long Yellow Hare, then who did?" He answered, "I do not know. No one knows." It was akin to battling in darkness. Mac asked, "Why was Long Yellow Hare not scalped like the others?" Rain said, "No one is too brave to be scalped." The women were perplexed that they could not locate him. He must have been concealed beneath other corpses. Mac inquired about Curly, the Crow scout who claimed to have fled. Rain said, "Curly is a deceiver. He was not in the fight. His pony failed him, and he ran away like a coward." Rain is now approximately 60 years of age and is the sole surviving chief who can recount the story of the Custer fight. He can write his name in English but does not comprehend its meaning. His knowledge of English words is restricted, though he can understand most of what is spoken. Like other indigenous people, he appreciates future kindnesses more than past ones. He is brave, but possesses a weak moral character. However, he honors his promises, though it requires immense patience to secure one from him. Even at 60, he remains powerful and physically impressive, reminiscent of the ideal indigenous figure from Fenimore Cooper's stories. Rain's English vocabulary consists of about 30 words, but he cannot pronounce them intelligibly, though he comprehends nearly everything said in English. His saving quality is that you can rely on any commitment he makes, but it takes a great deal of perseverance to get him to agree to anything. I hope this direct testimony offers you a fresh viewpoint on the Battle of Little Bighorn during the Great Sioux War of 1876. I aim to bring you more personal accounts from various battles, so have a fantastic day, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Rootvolutionary to help our community grow.